Welcome to this new landing challenge. In this challenge we're gonna fly the Celebrity into Bora Bora, which is part of the Landing Challenge Pro solution. It's third party, so keep in mind it's not for free, you need to buy it. So what's the ID? The ID is we're gonna land on runway 29. Runway is almost 5,000 feet in length. Elevation is 11 feet AMSL. We're gonna use the Textron Aviation Cessna Citation CD4. So let's see what we need to do. So let's look at some figures. So might be a little bit dark for you, but we're gonna start here, then fly 160 knots, then reduce speed to 150. If we're flying, I would say above the other mountains, as you can see. Then we're gonna make a turn, and the turn during the turn we will reduce the speed to 140 knots, and then eventually we should land on runway 29. So let's see how that works. It's almost finished loading. Actually it is. There we've got the runway. So let's press ready to fly and let's see what we can do. So we can see a lot of water around us. Right there are some islands. If we would go to the outside, there's also where we will find the runway. There it is. So we're gonna fly straight forward. I'm gonna a little bit move to the right side because we're gonna fly a little bit further because we need to make I would say a big turn. So in the meantime, right, so we're gonna pass these mountains which are there. Then I will continue flying a little bit further. Of course we're gonna pay attention to the speed and also to our altitude, because we don't want to let's say go too high. In the meantime, see that the emergency lights are not armed, so we'll arm them. You can ignore the pilot heat because it's not needed probably. It's nice weather as it looks like. So we're gonna continue flying here. Keep an eye on the speed. So 160, so I'll reduce it a bit. In the meantime, we can enjoy the outside, but of course we need to be a bit careful because we don't want to crash. So once we're at that next island, the idea is that we're gonna reduce or start making the turn and reduce the speed even further, right? So as you saw on the previous picture, we're gonna reduce speed to 150 and then eventually to 140 knots. That can be found here on this mirror, right? So we're now reducing speed already because we're going a little bit too fast. But as you can see, we're also climbing, and that's of course what we want to prevent. So you might need to adjust your yaw damper or push the stick a little bit forward if you want to prevent the aircraft from climbing. In the meantime, we're going nicely to the next island. So if we now look from the outside, right? There's Bora Bora. On this part, there's the runway, or here actually. We can open the VFR map. In the VFR map we see that another island is here, so we're gonna make a turn here and then fly back to Bora Bora and then try to land on the runway, of course. In the meantime, keeping an eye on the altitude. So we're at as you can see, we're at 5,500, pretty stable, and we need to reduce a little bit speed. Once we're above that island, which is the next island, don't know the name of it, so maybe that's something could be a nice question for you guys. So which is the island next to Bora Bora? And then the rest of it is all water and water. So a lot of water, a lot of seas or oceans, where we need to fly over, right? So always important to understand during the landing challenge, make sure you prepare correctly, drop the flaps, reduce speed, because if you're going too fast, that will be a challenge. As with all other landing challenges, the idea is that you land in the blue marked part of the runway. which can be pretty challenging in some cases. This is an epic challenge and it's also marked as easy, so let's see if that works for us. And else we give it another try, of course. So the CD4, nice airplane ride, nice to fly with. Sometimes can be challenging, but that's with all airplanes in Flight Simulator. Sometimes they are challenging. So while we're here, we can look at the other tools, right? So we can look at the map, because there's not much to see here yet, as you can see. We're still climbing, so that's not good. So we need to take some actions on that. But in the meantime, if we look at this mod, we can, I would say, slowly start turning to the left side. And we're gonna drop flaps by 1 knob. And we want to make sure that we're really gonna descend, because we're going a little bit too high, as you can see currently. All blue and all blue. Well, some clouds, not too much. As you can see, during the turn we're descending already, right? So we're at 6,000. We need to turn a little bit further because there's the island. So we keep on turning until we see the island, and then we will fly straight forward. In the meantime, you can see that the speed also drops. So keep an eye on that, because if you're dropping the speed too low, then you will hit some challenges. So there's Bora Bora. So we're gonna turn a little bit further. And then we're gonna make sure that we're descending and not climbing. And again, keep an eye on the speed. As you can see, it's currently 160. It's dropping. Especially when you're descending, of course, your speed will increase. There are some tricks, right? Dropping the flaps reduces your speed. So if we look at the flaps, currently we set them to 15 degrees, and as you can see, we've got a max of 35. But you can also use this speed brake, right? The ground spoiler extends, that allows you to do braking. If you would brake them once we're outside the aircraft, if you would look at it, you would see that mostly here, they will stand up, and by doing that, you will reduce speed massively. So that's also an option. So keep that in mind. In the meantime, from my perspective, we're not going slowing or decreasing too fast, so I'm gonna do that. Show you how those things are working, right? So we're gonna simply extend them. For example, if you would extend them, you can see that they've now been a little bit on the top, and that you can see that they're now not part of the wing anymore, and that will reduce the speed in most cases. So let's switch them back to let's reduce speed even more. Doesn't help a lot, so then we need to take some other measurements. So we're gonna drop the throttle completely to 0.
Landing gear.
No.
Landing gear.
Then you hear the landing gear,
gear,
and that's due to the fact that the flaps are now maximally maximally dropped,
landing gear.
And then it will ask
gear.
you to drop the flaps or drop
Landing
the gears.
gear.
Sorry.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
So you can do that, and then it will stop mentioning
gear.
that you need to
Landing gear.
say
Landing
put down
gear.
the landing gears.
Landing
Of course,
gear.
if you did it correctly. Looks like I pushed the
Landing
button
gear.
twice. Here you can see the wheels coming out. In the meantime, we need to reduce speed, because we saw on the images that the landing speed should be, or the speed after the last turn should be 140. Currently we're going 148, as you can see. The other thing which you need to keep in mind is you're not going too slow, because it also creates some challenges. So you can see I'm decreasing the descent rate a bit. I'm not sure if this airport has poppy lights, right? Poppy lights, we discussed them in earlier videos. You can use them to ensure that you're following, or that you're on the correct glide path, right? So you're on the correct descent rate. I'm not sure if this airport has them, to be honest, but we will figure out. We're coming closer and closer. So you can see that we're now going below 140, so a little bit increase of the throttle is sometimes needed to make sure that we're not going too slow. Too fast is not good, but too slow is also not good. You can see that it has poppy lights, and for some reason they're all white, which means that we're not on the correct glide scope. We're at the 500 mark. Gonna decrease speed further, because we've got a strange feeling that we're going a little bit too fast, and also we're not completely aligned yet to the runway, as you can see. Now the poppy lights are burning, as you can see. A little bit so high. Let's say there's room for improvement, right? We landed far too much to the left side, so the center is probably not good. Let's see how happy it is. Well, the landing position was pretty well, right? We almost landed 100% in the blue mark. Landing smoothness was okay. Well, for some reason I'm always at this speed, so I need to figure out what I need to improve. It looks like that the feet per minute is a little bit too high, but the ground roll, we were far too much to the left side. So that's not good. So let's go back to the activities menu and let's try it again to see if we can, let's say, improve our landing. I'm always doing it this way due to the fact that I had some issues with the with this Challenge Pros, or the Landing Challenge Pro solutions, where we hit some issues. And as you can see, what I did is I flew far too much. I flew to this island, and we could have made the turn earlier. So let's do that. Maybe that helps a bit. So we're gonna press fly again. There we've got the mountain already, so that's good. And if we would look from the outside of the aircraft, we would be able to see the landing, or the runway there. And you can see your nice shadow. So we're gonna keep an eye on the speed. We need to increase speed a bit. As you can see, it's a little bit too slow compared to what it normally is. Gonna switch on the emergency lights. Ignore the other one. Move the mouse cursor away. And I would say as soon as we are at the end of the mountains, we're gonna make the turn. Of course, in this case we need to make the correct adjustments pretty directly, because we're making a shorter turn, as you already saw. Because so reduce speed a little bit further. Drop flaps a bit. And then let's make the turn. Let's reduce speed up a little bit further, right? Because we need to be around 140. We're now at 130, so we need to increase speed a little bit more. Also, we need to decrease altitude because due to the fact that we're gonna make, I would say, a shorter turn, we also need to touch the runway a little bit earlier. So there the runway is. So gonna drop the flaps maximum for now. Gonna put the gears down. Reduce throttling because we're going far too fast, as you can see. And we need to descend a little bit more. So I'm not sure how successful this one is, and probably we need to try it another time. And in that case we need to descend already when flying in parallel with the mountains. Let's now try to align a little bit better compared to last time. And one of the tricks is, at least that helps for me, but it could also probably depend on the wind which is there, is keep the middle bar of the aircraft a little bit further to the right of the, I would say, center line of the runway. Not too much, as currently. A little bit bumpy, but it was more close to the center line. So let's see how happy Flight Simulator is with us. As you can see, the ground roll was much better. The precision was worse, and also the landing smoothness was not that optimal. So let's give it just one additional time to see if that works. So we're going to go to Activities menu again. Also nice aircraft, right? If you didn't try it yet, give it a try. Look at one of the videos I posted earlier, I think it's this week or maybe already the week before, where we did try it out. Here we go again. So what did we learn? Well, we learned a lot. One of them was to descend earlier. So we're gonna push the stick a little bit forward, or maybe you can adjust your yaw damper a bit. As I'd say a bit, not too much, sorry. So we're gonna descend a little bit so that we don't have to descend too much when making the or when aligning with runway. That will result in that we are, say, we're going a little bit slower. That's good. So we're gonna make the turn. And also what I'm gonna try is drop the flaps a little bit later. So you can see that speed drops already to 140, which is good. Increases a little bit too much. Good. I think we made this turn too fast.
Landing gear.
So I'm gonna... This is not good. Probably should cancel this one, and we should forget this third option, because the third one is definitely not good. Yeah, let's not even try it. Let me retry. So I'm going back. Or let me try home and restart. See if they resolve the issue in with this. If not, then we need to use another solution. So there's a way. So we're going a little bit. As you can see, we're moving a little bit too much from the mountain. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fly a little bit closer to it. And then we need to wait a little bit longer before we are bypassing the mountain. But what we need to keep in mind is that we're reducing altitude and keeping our speed roughly at 150. Also try to avoid that we're climbing. So we now bypass the mountain, as you can see. Let's fly, yeah. So let's start turning now. Will be a pretty steep turn, as you can see. There's a runway, so yeah, it's again a little bit too
Landing gear.
soon. What we're gonna do is we're gonna swing a little bit too far to the right. And if this one is not successful, I will probably need to practice a little bit more. Not probably. I will need to practice a little bit more. Let's remove that probably. So I feel a little bit different, but as you can see, we need to really make a steep descent, and that's already, I'd say, not good. So
Altitude.
one of the things.
Landing gear.
Make sure
Landing gear.
landing gear is down.
Landing gear.
500.
Landing gear. Landing gear.
Stupid thing.
Landing gear.
Far too fast, as you can see. And also missing the hotspot. This was definitely not a good option, right? So I think the second one was, I would say, pretty well. Especially when focusing on the center line. Landing could be a little bit more smooth, so this one, as you can see, landing position was not good. Also the ground roll was, say, the same as the second try, but the landing smoothness was not good enough. This is where this landing challenge ends. Hope you liked, enjoyed watching me trying around landing on Bora Bora. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you've got questions, comments, or any feedback how I can improve my landing skills, let me know. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.